Hello, beautiful people. So we're making a new video today, and I'm Jessica, and my channel name, Just Jess, kind of has a story behind it. I I like to be called Jess or Jessica, and I haven't ever really resonated and didn't really love when people call me Jessie, so I always let people know just Jess is fine. So that's why the history behind where my channel is and why it's named that way. So throughout my whole life, I've been pretty intuitive all along, and just loved the mystical things and new agey things. I became a yoga instructor, just love that kind of stuff. But alongside my super medical, scientifical world, those seemed like two separate worlds kind of colliding and didn't really match up together. But in this new era of energy that we have, there's a place for all of that together, which is nice to be able to marry this spiritual stuff to just my everyday life as well. So about a year ago, like last spring, Spirit was trying to get through to me and give me an awakening probably for the past few years. But it wasn't until I got feeling really super sick and was searching for answers, medical answers to why I was feeling so terrible, and constantly searching. It wasn't until just last year, so I was sick for about 4 years, but it wasn't until just last spring that I kind of was like, you know what, my body is screaming at me and I don't know what, I better start listening. And then I started asking inside questions and started asking inside myself, like, what's going on? What can I learn from this? And how do I make this better? And how can I heal? And then I started looking at different things, like with those questions, I started watching different spiritual channels, especially like Next Level Soul with Alex Ferrari and his near-death experiences, NDEs. You'll probably hear some of that in the spiritual world vernacular. I'm sure you'll hear some of that. It's about a year ago, that's when I really immersed myself in spiritual teachings and started looking all over for everything I could learn about our higher selves and our intergalactic connections. I started with really incorporating like a meditation practices into my day, morning and night. So I've been getting pretty heavily meditated, as I've heard people say. And so morning and night doing meditations, and whenever I have the opportunity, because that is definitely where I found my connections to my higher self and to my spirit guides and intergalactic beings that guide me, angels, and my spirit animal. So through all this that I was studying, there was definitely a core belief that I was resisting. So one principle or truth that I just was having a hard time buying into and had some resistance to was the concept of reincarnation and past lives. So I grew up in the Mormon or LDS faith, and in that I always knew that there was more than just this earthly life, and that the earth was basically Earth school. They teach that our bodies are more than just our physical bodies, and that our spirits existed before and will exist after we leave this earthly plane and leave our physical bodies. However, that's about kind of where it stops with that and doesn't really expand beyond that. They say you existed before, you'll exist again, you're here to learn, and kind of that's where the reincarnation and past lives, like there was no discussion of that at all. So they didn't teach or believe in the reincarnation, so I wasn't buying into any of that myself. So it took a long time to kind of break away from that feeling of, like, I almost had a sense or a feeling that reincarnation was some kind of punishment, and so I wasn't going to buy into that. I didn't feel like it should be a sense of punishment around how that works. And then when I started to understand it a lot more, I began to really capture like what it truly is about. And I had to break away, well, I've been breaking away from the Mormonism and that religious dogma for years. I mean, clear back probably, the big leaving was, 20 years or so ago. And just, if you want to know more about that, then please leave in the description below any comments about that, and maybe I'll make a video just on, what that is like, being in such a kind of conservative type religion, and then kind of breaking free of that. That's taken some time to get through. So make comments below about that, and we'll talk about that in another video. So back to reincarnation. So the best explanation that I had about this that really finally started to sink in and make some sense to me was some of the teachings from Dolores Cannon, who uses her deep hypnosis method to reach the higher souls and the subconsciousness of her clients that she was putting in hypnosis. And it finally started to make some sense to me. So here's some of the highlights that made sense to me, and I'm hoping that it makes sense to other people and that it's helpful. 1, we are spirit or light beings, and we're playing a part in this life, in this physical body that we have. Our soul, spirit, higher self, oversoul are all names that you can call our soul or our higher self, our spirit light being that we have. Each and every one of us is a fractal or a piece of God, the Creator. You can call it Creator, the one Creator, all the isness, the universe, all those names, whatever sits best with you, whatever feels the best for you. But we're all part of that, and that was a split off fractal. Each and every one of us comes straight from there, and we're not disconnected from it. We're all still part of the one. We're just little beings off of it. And our higher soul then, from a place of all love and light, which is what everything is, our higher soul sent in a fractal of itself basically into this oneness, into this physical 3D realm that we are in right now, into the physical body that we currently are experiencing. And our soul has sent fractals of itself many, many times over the history of the earth. And so we've been here many, many different times in order to expand our own consciousness. And that is like the past lives that you'll hear people talking about. So after each life, when we die and leave our physical body, we return to the whole or heaven or the spirit realm or what thing you want to refer to it as. But the thing that happens, that our actual self never dies, because our whole being is an energy being. And so then we just leave this physical body, that goes away, but our whole essence of our light being stays and just returns from where it came from. And while we're there, we return to rest or to learn or to expand even beyond that, take what time we need, and eventually we start to build a new plan and a new soul blueprint, and make those soul contracts with our friends and family that we've experienced many, many lives with in many different characters. We make that soul blueprint, and eventually we decide we want to return, and that's the next life. And we do this to expand even more in another life. We have got highlights and goals and things that we want to accomplish while we're here into that next life. We've done this many times. Most of us, anyway, have done this many times. And I would definitely say the majority of us that are here at this time are these old souls, experienced and have incarnated on this earth many times, and are the graduated souls, the advanced souls that are ready to help bring forth the consciousness of the planet at this time. So we come through in a birth, and we are then given a veil of forgetfulness, and that's on purpose. So when we're born, we come in and we don't remember where we came from, and that is for Creator's purpose, to experience what it would be like to not remember that you're part of everything, and to experience all the many physical 3D experiences that can be experienced here, to expand itself into a higher consciousness and higher expansion. We are all contributing to that expansion and to the knowledge, all that is, expanding that. And another explanation that made a lot of sense to me too is that our soul, is the completeness of us, but that we are here now kind of like a movie, like our physical being is being projected from our higher soul. And I kind of always think of it as like back here from our higher self, in the expansiveness of all that is. And we're being like projected from that higher soul. and we are playing a part, kind of like in a theater production. We're a character. I am the character Jessica this time around, and I've been different characters in different past lives in other times. We've all played so many roles. We've played, and we've done this all by choice. None of us have gotten here and have been forced to come here. This was all completely by choice. So we've played the hero, the heroine, we've been the evil villain, we've been the rich person, the poor person, the sick person, the healthy person, the smart person, the vain person, the humble person, all the different aspects that we can have here on this life. We've come along and played the role of them all. And this is for all, then we've even made soul contracts with other souls that come here many times with us. Our friends and family that we know now have been played different roles, or other people that we only play once or twice with, but we've made a soul contract to learn a specific lesson from those souls. So this all just kind of finally made so much more sense to me, and in going inside myself in my own meditations and asking my higher self about this, I got my own, confirmation and realities that you just know within inside yourself that this is true. And I've been shown several of my past lives, and you could feel, the familiarity and the realness of it all. Well, so I hope this resonates with some of you and kind of helps make some sense to those who struggle with the concept of reincarnation and what that can actually mean. And I hope this kind of makes some sense and maybe breaks it down. And I hope that you'll go inside yourself and start asking the questions. Who am I? And you'll be able to go inside yourself in your meditations and listening to your intuition and that voice that you hear inside yourself, and get the answers for yourself. And that's ultimately why we're all here, is for us to come into this body, to forget who we are, so that we can remember who we really are. That's our whole purpose of being here, is to come to a point where we remember who we really are. So if you've liked the content that we had here today, please subscribe and like the video below so I can see if you're enjoying the content that I put out there. And I plan to continue putting kind of these topics and more content on there. So please follow along, and we'll see how this journey unfolds. Thank you so much, and until next time.